We have had the privilege of implementing a whole bouquet of reforms from the World Bank through the C4, in which you're also contributors to the NBSP. So we believe that we understand, and we've gone through that phase where we understand why we need to reform. And working with you, we've also learned things on how to reform. So the stage we are in now is we are now disciples of reform, because, you know, there are not very many states that are as fortunate to have had someone who was involved in the reform process as becoming the governor. Because in my office, my chief of staff was in charge of C4. So there's nothing he doesn't know about the programs, the philosophy behind the programs. In fact, almost everybody that worked with us in the economic team is now holding a senior position in this administration. And so we've gone beyond that stage where you're convinced, you know, where we are trying to understand reforms. We are now converted reformists. The issues are, how do you support converted reformists to now become the beacon of spreading the message of reform across the region? That's where we believe we are. And what it therefore means is that whatever support you give to us for the strengthening our reforms will be most welcome. Even when we say we don't have money, we have funds set aside for our counterpart funds. We were hoping that, you know, in terms of 2 water projects, which we've realized we may be able to have access to some funding for, we have actually, you know, we have a check waiting to be paid as our counterpart funds, so that we do not lose the benefit and advantage of that program, because it's very important. Those schemes are very, very important for our people in that part of the state. That is one area that water is a major issue, you know, unlike further south. We also want to thank you for also the knowledge transfer, you know, particularly with the kind of consultant you've given to us, and I really appreciate you for renewing his contract. We have, just working through him and his team, been able to now strengthen our own water programs and our own capacity. Because, yeah, we thought, you know, when we came in, we knew that we had to provide water to our people. We, on our own, invested in equipment to drill for water. And we went around drilling across the state, and then ran into a problem of sustainability and maintenance. But learning from, you know, the structure you put in place, we've now gone back, and we're now using that format to rethink, you know, even our existing. We're also extending it to other services. Now we're thinking about micro distributed power. The same thing will apply, you know, and to, you know, we're using, we're working very actively with you on the WASH program. We are now reformers, and the conversations we should be having is, how can you support us a lot more, so that we can show our neighbors and people around us that reforms really work and they really pay, and that, you know, there's a huge benefit when you go through, you know, you diligently go through a process of reform. In terms of the projects, I believe that the delays are not on our side. I think we've done all the things we need to do. Just where I think, you know, here again, you've also helped us on trying to understand procurement. It's just that this procurement process doesn't move as fast as we would have loved the processes to move, but we are hopeful that before the 26th, we should be able to close on all, on all the existing projects, and also our anticipated one, you know, Uboha Water Scheme, and we're anticipating that we should be able to, you know, finalize what we require to make it happen. I also want to thank the Federal Ministry of Budget and Planning for the support. You know, they're the ones we always cry to when we have issues. And they've been quite helpful. The message from us is, federal government can only open the doors for us, right? They just open the doors for us to go in to the room. What we do while we're in the room with the partners is now left to us. And so we want to thank you at least for that access and to assure you that as a state, we have put in place the systems, the processes to ensure that we are able to meet with whatever standards, whether they're documentation standards, transparency standards, whatever is required to access donor funding. We believe we have put all those in place, and our books are open. Our procurement processes are open. We believe that we know what we want. We're in a process of planning. Every commissioner that has come on board now is sitting back with their teams to go through a very rigorous planning process, gleaning from your own national medium-term plans. So we're going through the same planning process. So we're very clear as to what our priorities are. But lastly and most importantly, we also have realized that we must now get our donor agencies and programs to work together to avoid duplication and waste. And that those programs have to be tied into our own internal reform programs. That's our priority, such that whatever euros or dollars that are made available go a long way in getting more services to our people. By the end of October, we should have our medium-term plan, 2017-2020 plan should be ready, and this is going to be the second and third plan we've been able to put in place, and we're very optimistic that you will be happy with what we have, and we'll be able to, hopefully have access to more funding for our programs. The other reason why we are very keen that we have you, the head of cooperation from the EU here, is that we know there is the funding available for migration and trafficking, and we are working we're working very hard internally because it's something that's of concern and issue to us, and we're trying to also see how we can link some of these reform ideas and projects into programs that can help create more economic opportunities, more capacity opportunities, and discourage migration. So we want to ensure that we use the benefit of our relationship to have a holistic approach to our development agenda. They definitely we have to be able to demonstrate that there's a link between NDSP and the things we're trying to do to mitigate, illegal migration and trafficking. So, having said that, I want to welcome you to Benin, to Edo State.